my dear 5th primary students, welcome back to our series of videos for the Railway Children's Story, and today we're going to tackle Chapter 4. What we're going to learn today: revision for the most important events of the previous chapters, some preview questions to remember what you've prepared, the main events that happened in the chapter, the most important quotes, the chapter in points along with a character sketch. I hope you're ready. The revision questions say, why did the children call the train the Green Dragon, and who did they wave to? If you remember, the children called the train the Green Dragon because it was so big, like a dragon, and it emitted heat which the children felt even from a distance. That's why they called it the Green Dragon. And upon that train, they waved to an old gentleman whom they thought knew their father. But we didn't know that for sure. The children wondered if the man knew their father, but they didn't know that for sure. They wanted to deliver their greetings for father who was absent and who they didn't see for a long time because he was taken away by 2 government officers. The second question says, what happened to the children's mother? Why didn't she want to buy the things she needed? In chapter 3, the children's mother got sick and she needed to rest, and the doctor ordered her to rest and get some special foods and medicine in order to get better. But mother didn't want to buy the special things because she couldn't afford them. She thought that she could save the money in order to get the children whatever they needed instead of what she needed to get better. So she was able to sacrifice her rest and her well-being in order to provide for the children and get them everything they needed, because now they were poor. Now that their father was taken away, they became poor. The last question that says, how did the children help their mother? The children wrote a letter for the old gentleman on the train, and they asked him for help. They wanted him to buy the special things their mother needed, and the man thought the children were poor. He felt sympathetic towards them and bought the things and sent them to with the porter to the children in a parcel, telling them that they didn't have to worry about the money and that he hopes their mother could feel better soon. The preview questions say, and as usual, you should make sure that you've read and listened to the chapter carefully before starting. The first question says, why was the children's mother angry at them? Then, why do you think the children's mother wrote to the old gentleman? And the last one says, why do you think the doctor called Roberta head nurse? So let's start with our chapter, a birthday song. Who do you think this birthday belongs to? Whose birthday is this? I'm sure you know. So this chapter tackles Roberta's birthday. But before going on to the birthday and what happened during it, we learned that mother became well. And the children tried to thank the old gentleman, raising a notice or a sign from the hill telling him that mother is nearly well, thank you. So the old gentleman saw the notice and he smiled and waved to the children. When the children told mother about the story of the special food and medicine she needed, mother felt really sad. At first she became angry because she didn't want the children to ask a stranger for help. But then she felt very sad and she started to cry. And this means mother was really worried about the financial state of the children and the family. She was angry because she thought they weren't poor to the extent of begging for money. They weren't that poor. And she wanted the children to feel satisfied with whatever less they could. So she didn't want the children to ask a stranger for help. So at first she yelled at the children, she shouted at them, but then she began to cry. She apologized for the children and explained the situation for them, telling them that they were poor but not to the extent of asking or begging for help, and that they have enough money for food. and she made them promise never to ask a stranger for help again. And then she wrote a letter for the old gentleman, and we didn't know what the letter contained. She gave it to the station master to deliver to the old gentleman, but no one knew the words that mother wrote. Okay, so and then next day it was Roberta's birthday, and mother told her to leave the house until tea time. Roberta felt bored. She was lonely in the garden, so she started to wander around the garden and around the railway and the bridges and the barges on the canal, and she watched a lot of things, but still it wasn't tea time. When she was standing on the bridge looking at the barges, someone passed her. The doctor saw her and stopped his horse and he stopped his cart and talked to her. He called her head nurse. He called her that because she took care of her mother while she was sick. So he called her a nurse because nurses take care of sick people. So he asked her if she wanted a ride home. Roberta agreed and sat next to the doctor in complete silence. The doctor was worried. He asked her what was wrong. So Roberta told him that mother was worried about his bill, about the money she had to pay for him. So she knew that mother was worried because she saw mother talk while in her sleep. She saw mother talk in her sleep about how worried she was about the bill and the money she had to pay, and that she didn't have enough money for the doctor. The doctor was poor. He wasn't really rich, so he promised Roberta to try his best to not take the money from mother, but he still needed his patients to pay for him. So he told Roberta tried to apologize for him and tell him not to be angry, but the man reassured her and told her that he wasn't angry and he promised to take care of the bill or to just look into it. And when the doctor dropped Roberta at home, she went inside and she saw the surprise the family was preparing for her. She saw flowers, candles, and little parcels all over the table. Roberta felt very happy. They even sang a song for her. And at the end of the song, they cheered for her and she was very happy. And then she started to open her presents. She had a lot of presents, and the favorite, or her favorite present came from Peter, and it was a model of the railway made of different flowers. So Roberta liked that toy model, the flower model, very much. So Peter told her that she could have his model train or model engine that he received on his 10th birthday, if you remember. So he told her she can have it, or she could have it. So Roberta knew that he couldn't, or he didn't really want to give the train up. So she had an idea. She thought that she could take the engine from him and repair it for him. So next day, she secretly left the house and went to the station. She got onto a train and asked the driver to fix the toy model for him or for her. So the driver got angry that the girl got onto the train first, but then he started explaining how trains work and what the toy train needed to be fixed. So Roberta enjoyed her time and the driver fixed the train for her, and when she went back, she gave Peter the toy train, and Peter felt very happy. He hugged his train and he was thrilled to have his toy train fixed and to get it back. And that would be the end of chapter 4. And now let's see the most important quotes. In page 24, the first 4 lines show the gratitude the children felt towards the old gentleman when their mother got better. To be grateful or to feel gratitude means to feel thankful for something good that happened to you. Okay, so they show the gratitude the children felt towards the old gentleman when their mother got better. In both pages 24 and 25, we have line number 7 till the end of the page and the first line in page 25. And in this paragraph we see how sensitive mother had become after the drastic change that happened to the family. This also shows how mother was too proud to ask for help from anyone, even the children, and that she was selfless. A selfless person thinks of other people more than they think about themselves. And drastic, the word drastic means desperate. Okay? In page 25, we have lines number 10 and 11, and in these lines, we see that the family was preparing a surprise for Roberta as a sign of how connected they were and that they had a good relationship. This shows us the importance of family gatherings and creating strong bonds between them. Despite the fact that their social standard had changed, they still insisted on celebrating Roberta's birthday. They didn't have as much money as they used to have, but still they insisted on celebrating Roberta's birthday. In page 26, we have lines starting from line number 4 until line number 7, and this shows us how Roberta cared deeply about her mother and how she was selfless by not thinking about her birthday as much as thinking about mother. It also shows mother as a very sensitive character that refused to let children in on how poor they had become. To let someone in on something means to tell them a secret that no one knows. So mother kept being that poor as a secret. She didn't tell the children about how poor they became, and she wanted to hide it. But she was sensitive. She dreamt about it at night. So she was very worried, she was very sensitive, and she was very selfless. She kept it a secret from the children. She didn't want to worry them. In page 26 and 27, we have lines number 21 until the end of the page, and starting from line number 1 in page 27 till line number 10. And the surprise was so heartwarming, and it shows how families stick together through hardships to survive. It also shows mother's great efforts to ensure the happiness of her children and empower their bonds together. So mother tried to make the bond between the families stronger. She wrote a song and celebrated Roberta's birthday. In page 27 and 29, we have lines number 14 till the end of the page, and in page 29 in line number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we have lines 16 and 17. And fixing the toy train for Peter showed how responsible Roberta felt for her siblings. She wanted to repay Peter for his amazing present by fixing the toy he really loved. There was mutual love and care among the family members. They all loved each other, they all cared for each other, and they all wanted to make each other happy. In the last page, page 30, we have lines starting from line number 5 until the end of the page, and this shows us that if the family was loving and cared about each other, money shouldn't be a problem. Strong relationships between family members are vital for a happy and important life. Vital means essential, very important, and that cannot be replaced. Okay? So that was the end of the most important quotes, and now let's move on to the summary of the chapter. When mother got better, she was sad and angry at the children for asking a stranger for help. She said that they were poor, but not to the extent of asking strangers for their help. The children felt bad that they made her cry. Roberta's birthday came, and the family wanted to surprise her, so they sent her away. She kept wondering and watching everything around her until she met the doctor who took her home in his wagon. She told him that mother was worried about the bill, and so he promised that he would see what he could do about it. When Roberta went home, they sang her a song and gave her presents. Her favorite was Peter's, which was a model of the railway made of flowers. He also gave her his toy railway model that wasn't working. She wanted to surprise Peter, so the next day she went to the railway yard where she asked the railway driver to fix the toy train. He was angry because she got on the train at first, but then he started explaining how trains work and fixed the toy for her. When she gave it to Peter, he hugged it and he was so happy. The last thing we have is the chapter in points, and in here we have the most important character in the chapter, who was Roberta. We have her showing us how responsible, caring, loving, loyal, and trustworthy and independent through two situations. She was worried about her mother, so she told the doctor how anxious her mom was about the money she had to pay. And then she fixed Peter's beloved toy train for him. So Roberta was so responsible for her family, she was so caring and loving towards them, and she was trustworthy and independent. And she was dependable. People could depend on her. She fixed Peter's toy train instead of taking her and being selfish. She was selfless and thought of Peter, and she was worried about mother and her need for money. She gave us a clear example of the purity of children and how family matters the most. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.